Here's something we can proudly present.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the Diz Unlimited podcast. I'm Craig Williams, and joining me for today's virtual roundtable discussion, we have a great group of individuals, and that includes Rhino.
Hello.
We have Hannah Anderson.
Hello.
And we have Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
And I guess I should have mentioned that both Hannah and Elaine, of course, are also Dreams Unlimited travel agents. So if you're looking help booking a vacation, they're the ones to go to. Booking a vacation.
What was the sentence? Looking help booking?
Looking for help booking. Looking for help booking a vacation.
I should go.
It. Yeah, listen. It's been a long day. We started our day bright and early at Steakhouse 71 for a breakfast review that will be coming out later. And I am, I'm wiry from the coffee. I'm excited to have this conversation today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, we have to cover Luminous, The Symphony of Us. Rhino and I gave our first impressions, but there's way more to discuss with all of that, plus World Celebration Gardens, a big time for EPCOT for sure. We'll probably throw in a little bit about Haunted Mansion over at Disneyland, and then we're going to finish the show by grading everything that Walt Disney World has done over the past year. And of course, we're going to miss stuff in there, but we gotta give some grades to what the year was like, because it honestly was a massive year for Walt Disney World, even if it doesn't seem like that. But I already mentioned Dreams Unlimited Travel. I'll mention them one more time. If you like our content, you want to support us, book a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you no extra money, and you get the support of one of the awesome Dreams Unlimited travel agents. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no obligation quote. Now, I think we'll start off with Luminous, The Symphony of Us, because it had its big debut last Tuesday night at EPCOT, and it was a big day that day for EPCOT, having World Celebration mostly open, minus Communicore Hall. The Walt the Dreamer statue was revealed, and then we got to see what that entire area was going to look like at night once it was lit up and kind of worked in connection with the points of light on Spaceship Earth. And, obviously the biggest part of it was the debut of Luminous, The Symphony of Us. And I don't even know where to begin the conversation with this without just like jumping right into it. But I think I'm going to throw it to you, Hannah, because you didn't get to share any of your thoughts yet on it. What did you think about the show?
Yeah, so I saw it over the weekend. So it'd been a few days. I tried to not watch any of the videos just so I could go into it kind of with fresh eyes. And in general, I really liked it, especially the Disney songs that were included. There were definitely some tearjerker moments in there. I think, overall, I'm very happy with it. It kind of puts the icing on the cake to finishing some of the EPCOT projects. The fireworks were awesome. I thought they were very impressive. I really liked exactly what we're showing now with some of the light features. And yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. I feel like it was a nice addition to the Disney World fireworks. I will say it wasn't, I don't know if it was the narration or there were a couple moments where it felt a little flat for me. I know we talked about like previous EPCOT fireworks last time, and I still feel like it's up there for me. Like I said, enjoyed it. The narration sometimes got, I don't know, Disney does this where it's like things get really wordy and like so many adjectives. And I did, like the opening line just about how, we're more alike than we are different. Like I felt like that was nice without being too cheesy, I guess you could say. So I think that was cool how they kind of tied together World Showcase with everything they're doing at EPCOT. So yeah, I mean, overall, I was very happy with it. It didn't knock my socks off. One thing that was interesting, and I don't know, we went this weekend, and we went Sunday, and it was rainy. And so the video itself was the fireworks were a little bit foggy, I guess. You couldn't see them as great. And then there were like debris from fireworks like all over the place. And I don't know if that was just the wind, but it was kind of funny. Like, and I've seen that before at Disney, but yeah, so I don't know if that was just a fluke thing, but, and I stood on the other side of the Christmas tree, right there at the entrance to World Showcase. So I don't know if it's just where I was, but yeah, I would make a point to go see these fireworks on your next Disney vacation.
Elaine, did you
So all in all,
watch?
positive for me.
Awesome. Elaine, did you watch the video of it? Because obviously you don't live in Orlando.
I did, in fact. If everyone doesn't know, Craig is basically the best fireworks videographer on the internet, and he has a awesome selection of all of the fireworks shows over on our other YouTube channel. And so I did watch it, and I'll tell you, I don't, obviously seeing it on video is different than seeing it in person. It's going to be much, much, much more spectacular in person. I did not have issues with it. I mean, I think it is 20 times better than the taco barges for sure. The big thing with that is that I feel like both in Magic Kingdom and in Epcot, when it was getting more screen and projection heavy and less fireworks, that it was really taking away from a lot of the shows. And especially in Epcot, because you had to be right on the water if you were going to be watching that show, because otherwise, if you were further out in the Future World part of the park, or if you were out on the boardwalk, you were getting 10 minutes of nothing and then a couple of fireworks. And I felt like that just didn't hold people's interest, where this is a true fireworks show. And so I am all for that. I like that you don't necessarily have to be fighting for a spot 2 hours in advance to be right on the water. You don't have to have that perfect spot. You'll be able to see it all around the World Showcase. You'll be able to sit in the new, I can imagine a lot of people are like going to want to sit in the new gardens area there and take advantage of seeing the fireworks from there. You'll be able to see them from the boardwalk. So I liked the music that I heard, especially You'll Be in My Heart, because I love that song and it always makes me cry. So I didn't have a problem with it. But again, all I did was watch it on YouTube on my phone. So.
You know what's interesting is I didn't think about it till afterwards. Sorry, Craig. Was I didn't realize there were 2 Toy Story songs in it.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
When She Loved Me and You've Got a Friend in Me. But
yeah,
I will say with You've Got a Friend in Me, the one part of it is that they only used You've Got a Friend in Me, like that actual line once, and the rest of it was actually instrumental. And that's one of the things to me that I feel like this show needed more of. It needed more instrumentals. And I know I shared that in the first impressions, but they are so reliant on words to tell you how to feel and the lyrics to tell you how to feel, rather than realizing, like, you know, there are people who will come to these parks on their own. Yeah, there are people who can come to these parks who don't know anything about Disney, and I think they can still get the idea of the sadness behind Remember Me or When She Loved Me without needing the lyrics directly in there.
That they're like, well, even beyond that, the narrator will be like, remember when somebody died in your life? Here's a song to make you cry.
Pretty much. Yeah, but they're like, but don't worry, you're never truly alone. You're like, hey, well, like I was really alone just then. So thanks for that.
There was just a couple moments where it was like with Proud Corazon from Coco, like that entire section was all instrumental, except then they randomly like pipe in with my love for each other will live on forever. And it's like that didn't like the idea and the feeling behind the song was still conveyed without needing the actual singing involved. And I don't know, I felt like you could start to hear that EPCOT theme that Pinar Toprak did, for Beacons of Magic, and then worked on the music with this show and World Celebration area. Like, that theme was weaved throughout this show, and you could hear it. But with the singing involved, I felt like it kind of took a little bit out of it. So I wish they would have pulled back on it and not made it so in your face. And if they would have done that, then the narration would have made more sense. Then tell me what to feel. If I don't recognize that song, then let me know, like, oh, this is what you should be feeling in this moment with this section. But to have both kind of felt a little bit redundant to me. But to be positive, I do truly love, as Elaine said, you can not only watch this show from any point around World Showcase, you can watch it further out. You don't need to be right up along there. And that's something that I love about, like, the holiday times when they would do the holiday tag or 4th of July. You're looking to the skies and you're hearing the music around you. That's what a good fireworks show should be. It shouldn't be relying on, if you're not seeing this moment, then you're not getting the full effect out of it. Not that a show can't be great if it has that in there, because I do think Harmonious, when you had that perfect view and it all played together. But with this show, you can truly watch it anywhere and still have an appreciation for it. And that's when the parks are getting busier and busier. I think that's really important.
I have a quick question.
Go.
Just because I couldn't see it in the video. I saw that they did have perimeter fireworks going around the water. Did they do anything with the buildings as far as the different countries? I know previous in some of the other shows, they bring in the lighting on the buildings.
I think they did when in the beginning, because the show starts with the before the Heartbeat Symphony. It has the great welcoming where they say welcome in all the different languages. And I believe they highlighted then, but when Rhino and I watched it, we were in Italy, and I don't know, because of where we were, we had a decent view of Canada and a little bit of Mexico, but I feel like so much was blocked off, and I was like concentrating so hard that I wasn't paying attention to what was happening around me.
I asked about that. About what you're talking about, because we could see like Canada lit up, and that was it. And I was like, why is Canada lit up during this French song? But well, I understand that. I meant, why is Canada lit up while the Beauty and the Beast song is playing? And I think it was an error, like a mistake. It was it was like a malfunction or something like that. So I thought what was cool, continue on your question, Elaine, was that like how Spaceship Earth was incorporated into the show as well, because there was like, you could, that view of that for some reason just seems so clear, and it was really cool to be like, yeah, wow, we've never really incorporated it before in this sort of a way. Yeah, like,
why not? I wonder that every time. Like, why not?
Yeah, and I think they did it so well this time. Like, specifically, there was one moment, I think I don't remember if it was in either the beginning of the show or it was in the beginning during the welcoming portion, as they kept adding different countries saying welcome. The Spaceship Earth just slowly kept rising with the lights, and they just kept coming up, and it was one of those things where it was like, it was powerful, because it was almost like a reverse countdown to like, okay, once Spaceship Earth is lit, this thing is going off. And there were a ton of fireworks in this show. Like, still not like holiday tag version, but they knew that this was a nighttime spectacular, and they didn't hold back from trying to make it spectacular. So the lighting was cool, the lasers were cool, Spaceship Earth being integrated in, like, they put a lot in this show. Whether or not it fits in EPCOT, I mean, we can all argue that day and night. I think that will always just be way too subjective. But they did something with this show that they should be proud of. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going to sit at ultimately for me with EPCOT. Illuminations, Reflections of Earth had issues. Harmonious had issues. This show has issues. Maybe I just have to start accepting there's no such thing as a perfect fireworks show. Pyro show.
But we all have issues. That's what makes us human.
in the great
Oh, that's
symphony
right.
of
Luminous
us.
of
Yeah,
us. Yeah.
yes.
I
Uh,
just want a
Look,
shirt now that says Epcot, you don't tell me how to feel.
yeah, I don't
Mm.
tell,
we
don't
got to
tell
get
me
on
how.
that.
Epcot says, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the voiceless,
Um,
well, faceless narrator. She has a
I
voice. We
was
heard it.
I was gonna say, I saw a video of it from the other night, and I saw online people were questioning whether even more fireworks had been added since it started. And I was like, I don't
Wow.
know. I mean, so I know you said there was a lot of fireworks in it, and Elaine said something earlier that I didn't really think about either, where she was saying, how other shows have started incorporating screens and projections more and more,
Mhm.
these other sort of effects. It's interesting. This is the first time in a while we have like truly show that is relying on the fireworks, like on the pyro again.
Right.
And so, I think that's kind of cool to think about it that way, where this is like our one like true fireworks show.
Hmm.
I was really scared that we were just moving in that direction,
Yeah.
that it's just going to be screens, projections, and like 3 fireworks at the end. And
Hmm.
I hate to see that because I do love
I love
fireworks.
fireworks.
And so
Me too.
Yeah, of
Who doesn't love
course.
fireworks?
Yeah. I mean, it was
Uh,
nice for us because we took my son and he's little. So like getting set up for a fireworks show, like we don't do that very often where we like camp out and find a spot. So that was great just being able to kind of just park somewhere. And we didn't have a great view, but because it's firework heavy, like you said, it didn't matter. Like I felt like,
Mhm.
yeah, I still had a good view and got to see everything. So yeah, as a parent, I appreciate that too. Also being by the exit was great because then, I didn't feel like I had to have, the spot and then make the trek out of World Showcase to the parking lot. So that was great.
Yeah. So when Rhino and I left, it was very, very dead because we recorded our impression video from the World Celebration area. How was it leaving? I assume everyone kind of left at the same time. So did you feel like World Celebration Gardens now existing made it even more enjoyable leaving because everyone wasn't funneling down the same pathway?
Yeah, definitely. And we stopped. We stopped along the way. We kind of took our time leaving, and basically everybody seemed to just kind of like get a picture of the Epcot ball before leaving of Spaceship Earth. So that was kind of cool, and it really was beautiful. That completely changed my perspective on some of the renovations that they've done and World Celebration Gardens. So it kind of helped so everybody wasn't just doing a mass exodus for the exit or, for the gift shop. So that was cool. It seemed like people, and I don't know if it'll continue to be that way. As World Celebration Gardens, people get used to it a little bit more, but yeah, people were kind of hanging out, and that was nice too. So also PhotoPass was out in World Celebration Gardens. So that was cool. Like there were multiple spots you could get a picture. So we saw a lot of people doing that as well.
Yeah. I think that one of the issues with World Celebration Gardens is at night it is beautiful, but the parks just aren't open long enough to really take full advantage of. But it was pretty stunning getting to be in that area, especially once the points of light started on Spaceship Earth. The way that it played into the shows, just a perfect use of color. And so like if you're watching our video version of the show right now, we're seeing the Wish show, the Asha singing or whoever sings it, all the different characters from Wish singing, and you see how it it plays together with the lighting Epcot emblem on the ground, as well as the big tall pillars that everyone was wondering that morning, like, how are they going to play into it? Well, we know. And then even further up by Walt, they placed all these small, like, little mini points of light into the ground, into the pavement that were also working alongside this show. And so I feel like they made it very, very cool to watch from this area, like almost so much that they are now giving people a reason to not have to go to the front of Spaceship Earth to be able to watch these shows, and they can just kind of hang out in this area and the Celebration Gardens and take it all in from there. But the bad news is I did get to talk to some of the Imagineers as part of that first night when we were there for Luminous and Celebration Gardens, and it makes me concerned for this area overall that they don't have any idea what they want to do with it, because they, there's always keywords to listen to when they're discussing these things, and the main trigger word that kept getting me, or trigger phrase, was they said, well, we've turned over this activation to ops. And so that lingo is, for people who don't know, or if you just want some behind the scenes with it, is that means with the decision of World Celebration Gardens, a lot of that was either designed by Imagineering completely or with very little discussion with the park ops involved. So ultimately they built an area that they wanted to build, and then it's their job to turn it over to ops, theme park operations, daily operations, to figure out what they want to do with it. So, like, they were flat out saying, like, I asked, like, okay, well, when's there gonna be a time where you're gonna have like wine, beer, other little pop-up kiosks set up in there? And they're like, well, we turned this over to ops just today, so they're gonna have to plan some stuff how they want to get that in here. And the same thing was happening for Flower and Garden. They're like, well, we designed it in mind that operations can definitely use this area, and there's so many little activation points that they can use for Flower and Garden. It's like, shouldn't these be conversations happening together, like theme park operations saying, this is what we need, this is what we want to work on, and this is what we want to utilize the space for. Now design us a space that works with that.
So, sorry, I was like, I've been reading about, I've been reading some stuff online about this area. But also, I don't know if you saw, the light show wasn't doing those effects the next night. It was just staying bright white light. And I don't know if they said that was a safety thing or something. And then they said the pylons weren't going to change color anymore. And one of the lights was already out in the ground. Wasn't working.
The lights were out in the ground on day one when we were standing around there and filming and taking pictures and stuff. I looked down, I was with Brooke, and I looked down at my foot and I was like, there's a light out. And I mean, it was only on for 20 minutes. Granted, it wasn't working behind the walls for we don't know how long, but that's this stuff too. I'm like, how long is it going to take to fix this when it happens?
Yeah.
Or is this going to be things that like the pylons? I feel like those can be fixed easily, but for the in-ground effects, are they going to go out and just never come back on eventually? Like, is this just a temporary thing that, once again, Imagineer said, well, we built it, it's your job to fix it? Like, could that happen? I hope
also,
not.
that seems insane, like you said, where it's just kind of like, oh, we built this structure, dropped it in a park, and we're like, figure it out, everybody. Like, that's like insanity.
How many years have you had to think about this, and you're just now trying to figure it out?
Well, so I was reading online too about the area where somebody was like analyzing it, and they were saying that what they've noticed is a lot of people that are reacting very positively to the area, who are like, oh my God, this is gorgeous, this is great, are people who don't live in cities, but also don't have like public areas around them, because they were saying that a lot of the architecture that is present in this, that Disney's trying to be like, look at this architecture. They're like, this is present in a lot of major metropolitan cities that have these really, unique, that have these sort of spaces, and where we live in Orlando, we don't really have stuff like that here necessarily per se. I mean, not to say that we don't have spaces, but it's not like that tight. We don't have a city that's like that, like Seattle. I think you'd find it like somewhere like there, or maybe like Chicago or something. But
not to interrupt you there, but
no, you're fine.
I think that also like completely negates the fact that Orlando is barely a city. And I'm not saying that as an insult. It's just compared to any, like,
No, that's
growing
what I'm
up in
saying.
Pittsburgh felt like a massive city. So you needed
Yeah.
some green space there. Just being in New York the last week, like, that's a massive city that needs Central Park or something like it. Orlando, like, you don't need that, because as soon as you get, like, half a mile outside the city, you're basically just in suburbs, and you go another 5 miles and there's green areas everywhere. So I feel like that's also like I feel like Orlando, sometimes people forget, like, you know, there is so much outside of Orlando besides the city and then the theme parks. There's green everywhere. Once you get out to where Teresa lives, you can't escape the green. It's all green. It's farms.
Right.
Well, like I was saying, and what I said in the beginning was Orlando doesn't have those. I wasn't saying for that reason. I'm just saying
Can
we
I
don't
interrupt
have
you?
it downtown. Yeah.
Can I interrupt you
I'm
one
gonna
more
let you
time?
finish.
I didn't.
I'm going to
know
let
that
you
would
finish.
be,
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. I was going to say, I don't know if you heard me say that part, but we don't have it. But Craig's right. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I mean, we don't have that traditional, like, when you're in Boston, you're in a city. Like in Orlando, our downtown isn't like the heart of the city. It's not, it doesn't, it's a very sprawling area. So like, we don't have spaces like that, but that's where it's like, you know, it's interesting how they've kind of incorporated that sort of design work into the park. And for me, you know, somebody who, like, we don't have that, I'm kind of like, oh, well, it looks cool. You know what I mean? Like, I like
Right, as
that,
a
like,
local.
Yeah.
curvature of the
Yeah.
benches, how they blend into the walkways, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, and so it's interesting how that sort of, like, I guess where you come from, how that shifts and changes your perspective of these new spaces. You know, it's I like looking and hearing other people's opinions in that, because it's like, oh, I because we don't have that space here, don't see that regularly. So for me, it's kind of like, oh, that's really cool. And for some people, they're like, well, that's what it looks like outside of the building I live in. I'm like, oh, okay.
I do feel like it's kind of a romanticized version of Epcot, where it was like, okay, Epcot was supposed to be a community, not a theme park. So I feel like, especially, you know, talking about the Imagineering perspective, I'm sure that was kind of this like thought process of, okay, how can we connect these things and pay tribute to Epcot, I'm guessing is what happened. One thing I kind of forgot about when we were talking about last week was that there is going to be a place to meet characters eventually. And so looking at a second time, it's like, it is a lot of space. So I'm assuming, I mean, they're going to have to put, some sort of pop-up, something there. Cause otherwise it's underutilized. And I think too, it's, you know, and I know this is not the people listening to this podcast, but for the average day guest, I think they're just going to walk through and go, oh,
Yeah.
you know, this was nice. I don't remember this being here last time, you know? So yeah, time will tell. But I think I definitely see the Imagineering maybe disconnect, where it was like, okay, we're going to pay tribute to Epcot and we're going to try to connect the different worlds that we have now. Like, I went to refer to Future World as Future World, and spoiler, it's not really Future World anymore.
Well,
so, you know,
I know too, they, the Imagineers, like when we were asking them specific questions about, okay, well, what's this garden section called? And what's that? They're like, none of it has a name. You know, you could call it like, this is Communicore Hall Gardens, and this is Connections Gardens, and this is Creations Gardens. They're like, we're gonna let the guests create their own names for the spots. And I'm not saying this as an insult against Imagineering.
Yeah, right.
I want to make that clear. The same way I'm not making it insult of like, oh, them building something and then handing it over and saying, good luck. This is what you should, you know, figure out what to do with it. That's just how their company structure is, and something that I think, I hope they start looking at a little bit more closely, so that way, you know, there's better synergy between the different parts of the company running it all. But the same thing I think is going to happen with with all of this area, I think it's just going to revert back to people making sense of it, being like, yeah, we're in Future World, and then that's World Showcase. Because there's nothing distinct enough between World Celebration, World Nature, and World Discovery to really say it's different areas. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
A question on that exact same thought, like literally with the words you just used, Craig. I was going to ask you guys, am I the only one? I have a lot of trouble like remembering the new names and which.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't use them at all. It's Future World and World Showcase because that's as far as I can get. I cannot get into the neighborhoods and the names, and there's no way. There's absolutely no way.
You just said them though, Craig, right? It was
I did.
Showcase, Nature, Discovery. Oh God, the camera thing again. And then what's the other one?
World Nature, World Celebration, World Discovery, World Showcase.
Yeah, I don't think I understand. Like, I guess I get it where you're like, why did they need to be called that? I don't know. The names don't
work, I guess.
They just don't feel like they come together. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's my problem, is that it seems like a weird, like it's hard to remember. But this is coming from the guy who sometimes can't remember what the order of like an Olympic medal goes, like gold, silver, bronze. Yep, that is true. So I guess I can. Never mind.
It's just that I feel like it would be easier. It's easier when a park is established with the different names because you learn it, you grow with it. Like Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, no one questions. If you add one on, it's fine. We can readjust. But when you just boldly change the name of like a park or an area, that's when it gets harder. And that's why there's still a group of us that still say, oh, you want to go meet at MGM Studios later? And it's just completely normalized, even though it hasn't been called that now. And I don't even remember when they changed the name of the park.
My mom will never not call it MGM. Never.
Yeah. So this one, I feel like they're going to have a tough time with it because it's going to be so hard, but eventually it'll all cycle out. People know it better. It's just changes, weird changes that probably didn't need to happen. Maybe
strange things are happening to me.
Yeah, it didn't even need to be called like Future World. I get it. Doesn't make as much sense with the new idea of the park.
Right.
Why not just call the entire front of the park World Celebration in the back part? World Celebration in the front, World Showcase in the back.
Yeah, it's the mullet of theme parks.
Yeah. Except flip it around.
I guess
you showcase the mullet. So mullet in the it's all fine. It all works. It all works. But it's extra for Disney fans and non-fans to learn and have to be confused about. But unless we have any last minute thoughts on this entire area, we'll kind of circle back around to it at the end of the show. I just want to move on to some quick Disneyland news because they gave us an update on what is happening with Haunted Mansion out there. So they announced earlier in the year that Haunted Mansion would be kind of getting updates to their queue, new elevator system installed to get guests up and out of the attraction that have accessibility needs, as well as like a new exit gift shop area. And that is all starting immediately following the end of Haunted Mansion Holiday, which this year is going to wrap up on January 21st, 2024. And then the big process of changing this all begins. And just be prepared. If you're going to Disneyland in 2024, who knows? Who knows how long this could go on? I mean,
I didn't know the attraction was going to be closed. I thought they were just like, because the concept art, that if you've seen it or if you're watching this, like I thought from the look of it, I thought this was that back section, where they used to have like the fast pass queue when you used to do the paper fast pass, and you would so if you're like looking at the mansion where the queue it'd be like that to the left, and I thought they were going to like start in over there. And it was going to be, I didn't know about the elevator system. So I guess the attraction would probably have to be closed for that. But I thought it was just modeling the queue. That's why when everybody was talking about yesterday being like, oh, Haunted Mansion, the last day for Haunted Holiday. And I was like, wow, Haunted Holiday is going, really late this year. I just was like, that's weird. But I didn't know like this attraction is going to be closed for like a year or something like that. Or at least a year, right?
Well, we don't know how long. They didn't say how long
Yeah.
it would be with the entire process. Is it going to be a Disney that works very quickly, or is it going to be a Disney that spaces it out? And I mean, obviously, they're going to probably spruce up some of the interior of the attraction, helping with the entire way you exit. That you can't build a brand new exit with a gift shop and not close the attraction. Same thing with the entrance, like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
If you're talking about an average day on an off day, if Haunted Mansion is only 30 or 45 minutes, maybe they can do construction. But if you're talking a busy day in spring break where that entire queue is filled and needs overflow area, then it's, you can't build a new queue as well on top of that too and have areas closed down. So it's tough, but it's something that we're just going to have to accept, that Haunted Mansion, Disneyland's going to be Haunted Mansion-less for a while, but it'll come back better than ever.
Right? We'll be out there before it closes, I think. You and I for the half marathon.
That is true. I didn't think about that. We actually get to see Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Yeah, that's actually because normally
jealous.
it would be over before that, so it's cool.
Yeah, you should be jealous. So, well,
Never
we
seen
have
it.
to run,
So
so.
sad.
oh, it's so good. I know some people hate it and like, no, why are you taking away Disneyland's Haunted Mansion for so long? It should be there more often. I love Haunted Mansion Holiday. Honestly, I could just let it be year round and I'd be fine with it.
I agree.
And let Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion be the only one. But don't,
Oh,
come yell at
I
me in
wish
the
we had it
comment
here.
section. I'm okay with that. I like
Disney
getting
Hill,
yelled
you'll
at.
be dying on.
Well, that's definitely one. But okay, let's move on now to what I think will probably be either a very fun section of this show or a very boring section, depending on how much we want to force participation. And that's the Walt Disney World report card. And basically, a lot has happened in 2023, and we're going to kind of grade how we think Disney handled all of it, for better or for worse. We're going to stick with Walt Disney World on this because a lot did happen. I know I teased that at the front of the show, but it was like a lot happened. And going to kind of jump around in random order here with some of the stuff that happened. But let's start off with a big one. This year, back in April, after some previews and soft openings and stuff, we finally got to ride Tron Light Cycle Run, the very exciting, thrilling roller coaster now in Magic Kingdom in Tomorrowland. And I guess I'll go first, so that way we all know how I'm going to grade this, and then move on from there. But overall, I'm not going to try to be too positive here. I'm giving this as an A, as a solid addition to Magic Kingdom. It is maybe not the most thrilling roller coaster out there. It might be too short, as we all know. But ultimately, they added capacity to this park. They added thrills to this park, and it literally took away nothing else from the rest of the park. So
Good point.
I'm giving it an A. What about you, Elaine?
I am definitely on your wavelength. I'm going to give it an A minus. I mean, I am so happy it's there. It took a bazillion years to open, and it's finally open. And
Yeah.
when I wrote it, it took a couple months before I was able to write it, just because of my schedule and how many times I've been going down. But everybody had said, I'm one kind of like what Hannah said, that I don't like any spoilers. So I didn't watch any ride throughs or anything like that prior to writing it. And so many people had talked about like, oh, it's a family coaster, kind of like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's a family coaster. And I felt like it was a little more thrilling than that. I mean, I thought I am flying off this bike at any moment.
Yeah.
And I was just like squeezing my legs for dear life to hang on. But I loved it. I thought it was great. The minus is because I do feel like it is very short, considering that the last ride that opened before it was Guardians, and Guardians is so long that I think we got spoiled by it. And this just feels incredibly short. So that's my only takeaway from it.
Okay, what about you, Hannah?
I would give it a solid A, just, just straight up A, no A plus, no A minus. Same thing. I really love this attraction. I'm so happy that Disney, like you said, Craig, added something to Magic Kingdom without having to take something away. I think it's thrilling enough, but it also, you could talk, like I could talk my mom into riding this, right? And I think she would have a good time. So while it's short, I think it's a great addition. I'm happy.
Rhino?
I was going to give it an A. Like, I know you sent it in our group chat ahead of time, and I was like, yeah, an A. Because for me, I'm thinking about, I definitely agree. It took way too long to build, and the process of like still with the virtual queue is obnoxious. But I'm trying to fast forward like 3 years into the future, maybe even further, like 5 or 6, 7 years later, and this ride's been around for a while, and now it has like a 40-minute wait time, or it'll have like, Space Mountain type wait times and stuff like that. And I'm like, because when I wrote it, I was like, okay, without having to wake up early, without having to do the whole process of getting, the virtual queue, it was just like, I'd come and wait for this ride. I would do this ride again. And like, I enjoy it. I like the element of thrill to it. I do agree it is a little short, but I just think in years from now, it's going to be one of those where it'll always be like a must do. If I visited Walt Disney World the way that I visited Disneyland, this would definitely be on my must do list.
Yeah, I'll say our chat's throwing in a lot of B's, like all throughout the B
Beads?
section.
Oh.
Beads.
Bees.
Beads. A lot of B's. So a couple A's thrown in there. One good point here. Where was it? Lori said for the upright seats, the back seats, D for that, which they were very underwhelming riding that compared to the bike seats, but I understand that's how some have to ride it. So, I understand why it's all over the place.
And let me just say, I appreciate those seats, and not just for the people that physically need them, but when I rode it with my kids, it was myself and my 3 boys, and we all got on, and my middle son, he got on and he's like, nope, I cannot do this. Like, and this is after he was already locked in and we were getting ready to take off. And he's just like, nope, not doing this. And he got off, and I thought he was just going to get off and meet us at the exit. And the cast member asked him, she's like, do you want to just sit in the seated seat? And he's like, okay. And he sat and he had a fantastic time.
Yeah.
So even though it's not something that he physically required, he had a fantastic time and was able to ride it because he felt like he was too scared to be on the motorcycle seats.
There you go. I love hearing that story for it. Yeah. So there it is for Tron Light Cycle Run.
Ooh.
Yeah, I brought that back. So next up,
I'm so glad you did that.
It's going to be annoying by the end of it, but I'm still doing it anyways. You're welcome. That's for anyone who said the show couldn't get any worse. We'll find a way. Okay, next up on the list, Tron did pretty well, but how did Journey of Water do? Of course, Journey of Water is the walkthrough attraction in World Nature, if we had to talk about the neighborhoods anymore. And, it is mostly an interactive little play area for kids. But at the same time, too, I feel like you could lose yourself in this area when you're there at EPCOT. The daytime, it's like a nice little escape, but at nighttime, it takes on a whole new life of its own. I still have not had the chance to take my child through here, so I'm doing this as an adult that doesn't really want to get wet anywhere. I'm going to give Journey of Water, for me, I'm going to give it a B minus, I think. But it's definitely... It adds some color to the park. It has some cool features to it, but it's definitely not for me. But Hannah, what about you?
So I am going to give it an A plus, and I'm reviewing that as through. I know it's a strong opinion, right? I am giving an A plus from my toddler's perspective. This completely changed the game at EPCOT for us because it gives him the opportunity to run around, and he just loves it so much. And when you're a parent and you see your child just completely light up with joy like that, I just love it. But I do like that Disney added something that is beautiful. You don't really have to wait in line for it. You can kind of come and go. So I think it's kind of nice that they chose to mix it up, and it gives you one more thing that you can just walk through and casually enjoy without having to do a virtual queue. But yeah, I think now as an adult, I would agree with Craig. Just me going through it myself, my review would be similar. But shout out to all the toddler parents out there. I think this deserves a plus plus.
Wow. Okay, Rhino,
Yeah.
where do you fall in here?
Oh, I was gonna give it a D,
Oh.
because I think it's awful. I hate it. But I'm gonna give it a C because I do acknowledge it's not for me, and that's fine. But I don't. There is like I'm watching this video that you're playing over while we're talking for anybody that's watching on YouTube. But I have experienced it. I have gone there, and like, yeah, there's fun effects and fun things. But when I look at this, like structurally, architecturally, everything that it's doing here, I'm like, this should have been an Animal Kingdom. This has to do with like, I don't know. It doesn't fit in Epcot at all. Like, honestly, any park that isn't Epcot, I think would have been a better choice for this. And I know I just said I wasn't going to judge Tron based on how long it took to build, and I'm not going to judge that this took an insane amount of time to build. But it's just one of those things where I was like, I very much appreciate that they have taken what could have been just a child's splash pad, which is what was, out over by out front of where is it? Not Spaceship Earth.
Test track.
Yeah. And they've like, this is what Disney should be building as splash pads in their park for kids, for sure. Like, I'm not saying no, but my problem is like, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know that many Polynesian cultures are represented at Epcot. And this feels like a weird way to represent, if that's the argument here, to represent them. And I mean, I'm obviously not going to speak on that because I myself am not of any of those cultures, but like, I don't know. It's not, I don't like getting wet either. And it's wet everywhere in there. And like, it feels weird and out of place, and I don't understand. And it was probably very much part of a larger plan that was never and will never be fulfilled now. So I just don't think I get it at all. And that's okay. Some things aren't for me, and that's just how I feel about it.
Is it supposed to be part of the celebration of nature?
Yes. World Nature.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
but is it in World
So that's where
Celebration
it's
or is it
supposed
in
to
World
be.
Nature?
It's in World Nature. It's nature.
Right.
Okay, but
That's what I'm
she
saying.
just said, is it part of celebration?
It's water.
Oh, I thought she was saying, is it the celebration of nature?
I mean, like whatever the name of the neighborhood is supposed to be.
This is one of the reasons why I'm like, this is dumb.
Okay. Elaine, grade it.
The water here.
Aw.
I'm telling my son. Mr. Rhino said he
Okay.
didn't like it.
No, I will happily
Wah,
walk
wah.
through it with Rory, with your son, with anybody whose kid wants. I will never say a child that let's bring the kid over there. That's fine. It is where it is, and that's okay. And I'm not one of those people I would ever be like, burn it down. Like, I will happily go through with a kid.
Elaine.
I will watch parents with the
at
kid.
it.
I'm not picking a random kid.
Can we just let Elaine give her grade?
I'm giving it an A because I am looking at it
Ooh.
from the point of a parent. And it's basically everything that Hannah said. I mean, you are talking about a place that they can go in, they can let off steam, they can run around, they can get wet, which is a good thing in my eyes. Because when I was taking my kids and they were smaller, I was always looking for, where can we get wet? Because it is so hot and that distracts them.
Right.
And you needed that break. You need that break that they can just run and play and just let all of that out in that afternoon slump when everybody is just done. And I think it's fantastic. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
I think I just wish I think it was more open, because I don't like that it's supposed to be a walkthrough, right? But it does a loop and it like comes out right where you go in. So I kind of wish you could come in from all the sides for a lot of the reasons you just said. Like, so you could kind of just like come up with your kid, or something like that. So I think some of that is weird to me.
Yeah. Well, I never expected it to get 2 A's. I understand the argument for it, but we got 2 A's out of this. Chat is all over the place in it. I can't even begin to dissect all of this. We should have been running these. I was going to say we should be running the polls, but I don't. Yeah. I think we have like a limit of like 4 or 5, so we couldn't keep the minuses and pluses with it. But these are the things you think of once you start this all. But I'm going to just give James the shout out here for saying should be called Honey, I Stepped in the Water Play Area. So that would have been a nice nod back. But yep, that's it for Journey of Water. Yep. Okay, that moves us on to our next opening, and we're moving on to the restaurant opening of sorts, and that is Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, serving that family-style barbecue in Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Maybe the food's not great, but I didn't really think for the longest time that Hollywood Studios needed any more sit-down restaurants, and then every time we're talking and saying, oh, we should go do a restaurant review, a table service review at Hollywood Studios, it's like, oh, we've done them all because they don't have very many. So I might have been a little bit harsher on it, but now keeping that in mind, I'm going to give Roundup Rodeo a B+. I think it was a welcome addition, but the food should be a little bit better. So, Rhino, what about you?
I think I would agree with you. Like, I was trying to debate whether I would say A or B, but I think like taking that food aspect into account. It's dark. I like the theming inside. I think it's a great place. Again, Hollywood Studios over the years has definitely struggled with offerings for people with younger children. And this, especially now that a lot more of like Animation Courtyard has been still closed and shuttered, like I feel like this is a good addition that eats a lot of people. And honestly, like for the amount, what you get for what you're paying in there is like, I feel like a pretty good, solid value. And I have wanted to go back since we went. So
they're eating people in there.
I think it's a Soylent Green. I said it's a people eater. And I realized how that comes out when you're talking about a restaurant, but yeah, that's what the plant-based sausage is. But no, I'd say a B+. I would agree with that.
Okay, Hannah.
I'm just going to go regular old B on this one. I think the food's okay. I like the variety. I also I don't know if this will change, but I've been there twice, and each time they let you just have as much or order different options. I think if they were like really strict about, oh, you can only order these sides or you can't try different desserts, that would diminish some of the value for me. I just feel like there's something like missing from it. Like, I feel like the price point's okay, but I feel like there should be like characters there. Like, it feels like a counter service plus. Like, it feels, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think, again, it's another great addition. It eats people, like Rhino said, so it gives gives more options for people to sit down and eat. I think it kind of answers some of the issues with Andy's lunchbox, where it's like, or is it Woody's lunchbox? Whose lunchbox?
Woody's lunchbox. Andy's backyard. Really Woody's lunchbox.
It really should be Andy's lunchbox, because Woody doesn't have a lunchbox.
Woody need a lunchbox that big?
Exactly. No. But just that outdoor seating and not having another thing for kids to go to, I think, I don't know. It's a good addition.
Okay. Elaine Edwards.
Shrug.
So if this report card's on a curve, I'm going to kill it right here with a D.
Whoa.
Oh, curveball.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. I think they missed the mark. I approach so much of this as that of a parent. And while I think the theming is fantastic, yes. While I think they definitely needed another restaurant in Hollywood Studios, yes. However, when you're coming in there, that it's obviously targeted towards families with kids, especially families with young kids, because those are the ones that are watching Toy Story every single day and have all of the toys. We were that family.
Hey, I have all the toys.
So
He does.
Yeah.
I
can
do.
attest.
You can't. They're not up here,
always
but
that
they're
one.
here.
yes. Anyways, so however, there is no kids menu at all. So if your kid is not an adventurous eater, they're paying what, $50 to eat some mac and cheese and cornbread?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was like
You're right.
$40.
A tax and
Whatever.
tip.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
I'm
know. I
rounding.
genuinely don't know.
I'm rounding. I'm
why I was
rounding.
thinking. Okay.
So there is no kids menu. While I do like the family style menu and being able to order multiple things and trying multiple things, yes, I like that. However, I can tell you when my kids are younger, there's nothing that they were going to eat there. They need a kids menu. And even at the restaurants at Disney World that have very limited or no kids menus, you can still order chicken fingers. It's just even if it's not on the menu, you can always order chicken fingers. You can't at there. They don't have it. So there is truly no options for a lot of families. And why is this not a character meal? Why is this not a character meal?
Feels like it should be.
When they first opened this, I thought they said it was not when they opened it, but when they first announced it years and years ago, that it was going to be a character meal. And I felt like we even saw that in the renderings that we saw characters.
I mean, the characters are in there. It's just how you want to interact with them.
Yeah, I do. I want to interact with them. I want to press Buzz's buttons. I mean, I just... Yeah.
Ooh.
It is what it is.
Well, I think that's a bold take. I feel like most of the chat gave it a little bit higher grades than Elaine did. I don't know if anyone gave it as bad of a grade as Elaine did, to be quite honest. But the highlighted comment from this is coming this time around from Patrick Martin saying, "See, it should be a crime to serve barbecue that bad in the South." Which, I appreciate that
you,
one.
Patrick.
Yeah, it's Patrick's not wrong. I'll just say that. I think we can maybe do these next two as rapid fire because I don't want to go too long on this, especially when there's a little bit more juicier ones to talk about.
Wait! Where's the buzzer?
What?
Where's the buzzer?
Oh, my bad.
Get the club horn.
We're done now with Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. The next one I was going to mention, because in terms of restaurant openings, it did open. Shikisai over in Japan. And for me, this was expensive. The food was good. It just replaced a restaurant, really. So I don't have merits to give it on that. And it replaced a boring restaurant. So I'll give it like a B for that. But that's it.
Where was that room?
That was the main dining room. We didn't eat in the main dining room.
Oh, okay. I was like, that looked cooler than where we were.
It was. You should have walked through there. But
yeah. B.
Did either of you eat at it, Hannah or Elaine?
No.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Probably
Okay.
I did have a plan to eat there. I had a reservation. I had to back out at the last minute. So I did look through the menu. I watched your guys' review so I could kind of figure out what I was going to eat. Because here's the thing. I don't like sushi. So I am very pleased that they do have a lot of other alternative options, because most places that are primarily sushi restaurants don't really have a lot of other options that are non-sushi. And I do appreciate that they do actually have a very large menu with a lot of options. So I already had picked out what I was going to order and everything. And so, yeah. So, if grading it without being there, we'll just give it an A.
Well, no, you can't do that.
No.
It's an incomplete.
Yeah, I was going to say, what teacher gives you an A for not being there?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me quote my sister that she says you start every semester with an A. It's your job to keep
I
it
have
there.
heard that.
Oh, that's a nice way to think about it.
Okay, the next one is mashup 2 as well. Big change this past year. Trails End is no longer the buffet. It's now your quick service style with to-go, and Crockett's Tavern has added small bites to it. And for me, yeah, I know Trails End not being a buffet is probably unpopular for people, but I never really liked going to Trails End, so I don't mind it as a quick service, and I thought Crockett's was solid, so I'm giving this one another solid B. It's a good change for me.
Yeah. I agree. I would say B because I felt like at Fort Wilderness, I feel like it was hard to just find a place where you could go in and get a couple items to eat and just like enjoy them, because you either had to be doing the show or the way it used to be. And I think this is the addition it kind of needed over there.
Yeah.
I agree with what Rhino said. It needed. I know a lot of people were very sad when it shut down because they loved it. But every hotel needs an easy, quick service, and not all of them have them. And this needed that option.
All right, Hannah.
I'm going to throw a curveball and say a C. I love Fort Wilderness so much, and I miss the buffet. It gave me an opportunity to go over to Fort Wilderness if I wasn't staying there. I will say the caveat to that is I wish they would have just done, I'm not sure how they would have done it. I just wish we could have had both, right? And I don't know, something about, I don't like the design choices. Like it just, and I don't know, I guess Fort Wilderness is going that way with the new cabins, but it just, I don't know. It's weird. Like you can see some of the old stuff and then you can tell they were just like trying to make it work with the structure that they had. But I don't, now I'm feeling bad about the C because that fried chicken deserves an A, but I'll stick with the C.
Yeah, the grades were submitted and they were in, so. Okay. Now we're gonna step away from food. We're gonna step away from food and talk about another big thing that came back in 2023, and that was the return of Happily Ever After. A lot of people said, as we were talking about Luminous, when I said there's no perfect fireworks show, they said, what about Happily Ever After? No, it's not a perfect fireworks show for me at all. There's a lot of flaws in it. It's a good fireworks show. It's not a great one. I will stand by it and say Happily Ever After. I was happy when it was here. I didn't need it to come back so quickly. I would rather Magic Kingdom goes on a rotation where they just will randomly choose Happily Ever After. Maybe they choose Wishes for a couple months, maybe go back to Enchantment. I would love to see that. So for me, Happily Ever After returning, it's like a C+. I've only watched it twice since it's been back. I have no interest in dealing with crowds to see that show. But what about you, Elaine?
I completely agree with you. I will go with B, and the reason I'm going to give it a little bit higher than your C is because it is less projection heavy than Enchantment. Enchantment had a lot less fireworks and a lot more of that relying on the projection and the narration. And here's the thing. I think, like you said, I think there needs to be a rotation, kind of like what Disneyland does. I mean, Disneyland is changing out their nighttime entertainment constantly. And why can we not have that? Why do we have to have the same thing for 10 years or longer? You know,
Thank
I
you.
am not one that I know people are coming at me with the pitchforks, but I am not one that is hung up on this show. Like, there are people that are so hung up on this show, and I am not one of them. I love fireworks, and it's a great show, and I will sit and I will watch it. I will sit and watch Enchantment. I will sit and watch Wishes. I will watch all of them. But
will you watch it in a box?
Even I'll watch it in a box, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Sorry, I heard it just felt like it was very Seussian for a second there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can have a B, and it's great. We'll watch it. Great, sure, whatever.
Hannah?
I'm gonna say A+. And when this first debuted, I was kind of mixed. I know I was kind of mixed emotions on it because I really loved Wishes, but I'm also one of those guests where it's like I just hang on to the past. Like it's very hard for me to move on to something new. But I will say Enchantment was trash, and the fact that like Disney actually listened and was like, I I just feel like the fact that they listened, I got to give them an A plus. They're like, you know what, we'll bring it back. Bad on us. I feel very strongly about how sad the 50th made me. So I was just happy to see it back. Yeah, so A plus, I'll stick with it.
Rhino.
A plus. You already knew it. Elaine was literally describing me, so it was fine. I am hung up on it. I don't feel like in that initial run, I do agree with what you both said, though. I do not think a show has to stay around for 10 years, for however thing. I would love it if this was a thing that could rotate in and out. So, like,
Yes.
I love this show 100%, but I agree with you. I don't want this to be the show for 20 years. I want this show, and I want a different show, and I want a different show. Like, I love when we're at Disneyland, and it'll randomly sometimes be like, these are the 50th anniversary fireworks, and I'll be like, oh cool, I never came and never got to see this, so I have no idea what this is. Like, you know, I love those sort of moments. I wish Walt Disney World would do that as well, and I get it's not as easy here maybe and stuff, but I do genuinely, like, I enjoy this whole thing, like beginning to end, and I love the song and the music and everything like that, and like I like this better than Wishes. I'm one of those people, so it's fine.
Oh.
I will let you all have your feelings on it. Elaine and I were in the same place here. I will not stand for enchantment bashing because I feel like Enchantment was a better version of Disneyland's Wondrous Journeys, and everyone's still losing their minds about that until it comes back. And once they added the Walt portions in the beginning, they finally made a better show with it.
Yes.
And it took too long. I will admit that. The show by itself needed that extra. And once they did it, I think it came together in a better way. But it's neither here nor there. The one thing that I cannot say enough, I am so tired of the idea that, oh, Walt Disney World is for like one-time only vacationers. There are so many people who come to Walt Disney World now 4 or 5 times a year. Disneyland might be a locals park, but still you hear, like, I know from people I know in Southern California who are like, oh, we can't afford Disneyland. We go like one day out of the year. And that's still considered a locals park because they're not really traveling far to it. But they still switch it up and keep it different because of that mentality. Walt Disney World everyone has made it such a home destination that I feel like it is a locals park. So maybe, don't switch it around every other year or anything like that. Let these shows have a limited run, say like 2 years, plan your vacation around that. And then we're going to switch it up. And then you can come back and see it again in a couple of years when it returns.
I'd be fine with that.
Make sure people know. But
I agree with you. I think that I was actually thinking about this the other day with what you said about the mentality of this being the one and done family vacation needs to really go away, because how much more present we see annual pass holders everywhere. I mean, look at the first day of any festival, of anything. Those are all people. A lot of times those are a lot of people who live here who are making it that extra crowded, not the vloggers.
Yeah. And I also will say too, I know there are once in a lifetime people, but also too, if they're not coming nonstop, then they don't have the mentality of, well, Wishes was better and this is better than Enchantment.
Because they only see the one and they move on.
Because maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. They can watch videos and know that's the show I wanted to see. I'm not going to start fighting over it, but all I'm saying is Walt Disney World is visited by so many people so often that it should be changed up more often, and just let more new shows come into existence. They've got the stage. They just need to express it. But man, that was a battled one. This next one I think is going to be pretty easy for all of us. It's kind of a roundup of Disney really put a lot of thought and effort this year into character meet and greets. So not only did we get Moana once, we actually got her twice with new meet and greets. Mirabelle took over in Magic Kingdom and added a little Encanto magic there. Figment returned to Epcot with that tiny, tiny neck and small head that I wish I never had to ever see again. Asha from Disney's Wish popping up in Epcot as well too, meeting people. And then Mickey and Minnie in their 100th outfits with that.
Wow, Craig.
Whoever that is in there.
Who did you leave out of these characters?
Which one did I leave out?
The Little Mermaid?
Little Mermaid, yeah.
Oh,
live
shoot.
action.
Yeah, listen, I apologize on that one. I just did not. I sent a list, but I don't know if I included all the meet and greet people. So, and then, yeah, you're right. Little Mermaid too. Ariel. So, wow, that was six meet and greets then this year that were added. So that's kind of huge. That's an A+ in my book that Disney is keeping us with plenty of meet and greets.
Oh yeah, I mean, I want it to be on that level of Disneyland with like I know, you know how like every time a new Marvel show or Marvel movie comes out, the next day they're in the park, and I was like, I appreciate that we got like Asha here ahead of time before the movie and stuff like that, because for a second you were listing characters, and I was like, oh good, we got all these characters 5 years after their movies came out, you know, and 20 years later with Figment and stuff. So the Little Mermaid and Asha we both got when the movies like came out.
Yeah.
So that I can't say that always happens, but it is nice when we get those characters in conjoining with the movies like that.
Hannah?
Right. I would say an A because I feel like it was a good year, but I feel like they could build off that momentum, kind of like Rhino was saying with like, you know, how DCA handles the Marvel characters. So I think it was a good start.
Okay. Elaine?
I agree completely. We'll go with A. I do wish that we did kind of get characters a bit quicker. That, just like Rhino said, like, why do we have to wait 5 years just to make sure that people like this character before we get them?
Yeah.
And the fact that why are they announcing a new character coming like 6 months in advance? This is what I want to know as far as Disney World. I think when they announced Mirabelle, it was like 6 months in advance before she was actually going to be there. Like, why are we waiting that long?
Well, they have to build
from the
that
announcement
human.
to here. Whereas with Disneyland, it's literally like, okay, starting tomorrow, this character is there.
Wait,
we forgot Mando and Grogu.
We forgot Mando and Grogu.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I was going to say, I was like, there was another one from a show.
Well, and that's why TJ is correct here at Disney World. We have the meats. Works for Arby's, works for Disney World.
Okay.
Sorry. Does it work for Arby's?
Yeah, a lot. So should be faster, but you know what? A's all around. The A's have it. Here. One that I don't know how to feel about this, but hey, in the year of 2023, we finally got trams back at the last 2 parks. So now we have trams from the parking lot at all 4 parks. I'm going to give this as an I don't care. Like, I know the trams are important.
You abstain courteously.
I don't. Yeah, no. I'll give it a C because I don't care, especially with Epcot and Hollywood Studios. I feel like both of those parking lots extend so long-wise that by the time you walk the entire length of a road to get to the tram, you're like, well, just freaking walk to the front of the park now. Sometimes I've walked further lengthwise than I will going to the rest of the way to the park. So for me, it's like, I don't care. They could have never come back to those parks and they would have never had an impact on me. But Anna?
I'm going to give it a C just because it took too long. Like, I feel like this is one of those things is like, why are the trams not here? And I feel like they also like teased it for a while too. I don't know if Disney Parks blogged it or what. Also, I don't know. Now I'm just like throwing another curveball. But do you guys remember the Hollywood Studios guy, the tram guy who would do the Hollywood Studios? He would it was a party on that tram, okay? And he didn't come back after COVID, and that makes me sad. That was definitely like an MVP. I don't know, but he was a gem. And so I think about it every time I'm at studios. I'm like, I would get on the tram if he was working. So I don't ride the tram. So see.
I don't ride the tram because of that one cast member.
Yeah,
Rhino?
he made magic. Okay.
Bold. No, I think I'm with you, Craig. It doesn't really affect me necessarily. Like, and I agree with you, Hannah, 100%. It should have come back sooner, but I think it's an A plus option to have here for anybody with mobility issues that may need it. But I do
Sure.
agree. The two parks that they took forever to bring back, you were like, well, by the time you're in the tram, you're already at the front of the park. So it's a weird. It's just they're in weird parking lots. That's all. So
Yeah. Elaine, do you ever ride the tram? Or do you, when you stay on property, do you bus?
It has been a very long time. Usually I am just using on-property transportation. There's been a couple times in the last couple of years where I've been with somebody that had a rental car and we would drive over, but we would always just walk because there wasn't a tram option. And it was fine. Back in the day when I was coming with my parents, we would always ride the tram. I'm for a tram. Put them out there. All the trams. Give it an A. Give me all the trams.
So we will change it. They passed. They passed in this situation. It's not a fail, but maybe you don't need the grades for it. But trams.
I feel like there should have been a honking or something for that one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe the wrong honk there.
I
Okay.
switched it to an A.
I think we're gonna get our first F thrown out here today as a massive failure, and not for the reasons why you think so. In 2023, we lost one of the greatest things that ever existed at Walt Disney World, the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and losing it is a big F for me in my book. I miss it dearly, not as much as some other people out there would, but it was such a one-of-a-kind experience, and man, I wish it was still here. So F, failure.
F.
Rhino?
I don't think they should have closed it. I think they could have reworked it and kept the idea of it, and that aspect is like what really bums me out the most, is that we've lost one of those truly, really interesting types of storytelling elements that I was like, I hope they don't tear it down. I think they'll probably have to, but so I think it was just kind of short-sighted. So that's why I give it an F.
Elaine, I know you did it, so what?
Oh, yeah.
What would you say?
100% F for closing it. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we knew it wasn't going to work. We knew it was going to fail, whatever. But what it actually intended to do, it was successful. They hit a complete home run on what they were trying to do. That experience, when that opened, my kids are like, we're going to do that, right? And I'm like, we would definitely do that. We can't do it for several years because we have to save for it because it's a lot of money. But I guarantee you we are going to do it. And I was very, very blessed that I was given an opportunity to do it through Dreams Unlimited Travel. But I have tried to just explain to people what it was and why it was so great. And you can't even do that. It was so great. And I am so sad that more people did not have the opportunity to do it before it closed, because I know there was people like me that are like, yeah, we want to go, but we really need to save up in order to go. And now they couldn't do it. And it really does break my heart, because it was an amazing experience.
And the people who were rooting for it to close, I think that's very short-sighted in that attitude, because I don't think what you also probably lost in that process was that if this had been very successful, I mean, and I agree with you, Elaine, they completely succeeded in what they set out to do in terms of that. But people wanting it to close just to prove a point, to be like, hi, it would never work. Well, you probably lost out on. Did you ever think like this would have extended to other properties? Like someday there could have been a literal haunted mansion experience that you could have had like dinner theater and gone and stayed in, and there would have been a ghost in the room and stuff like that. I always think about that. We lost out on what could have been the next fleshed out version of that. And so like, we'll never get it now. So people who are like, yeah, bop, 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 I'm like, okay, well, you know what I appreciated? That they were doing something new and different, and now we're not going to get it. So,
And
Very true.
what really breaks my heart too is the cast members, because that
Yeah.
was a whole different level of cast member that was in this experience. I mean, I'm not one that, I come back from a cruise and I'm following my cast member on Instagram that was my server or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person. I don't get to know cast members. I don't have favorite cast members just because it's just not who I am. But I will tell you, I did immediately become friends with several of the cast members on board, and that we talk regularly on Instagram. And it really broke my heart for them when this opportunity was taken away, because they were doing what they wanted to do. They really, really, really were.
Yep. Hannah?
Point. So I did not get to experience it. So I am one of those families that, because of the price point, it was kind of like, well, let's save up, or let's see if there are ever any discounts offered. And so, yeah, I never got to experience it. I would have loved it. We're big Star Wars fans, and I could have seen that being something that my son really loved it, at some point when he was a little bit older. It was one of the last cool things I did at Disney was sit in on the focus groups for it. And I feel like Disney really listened to a lot of that feedback and is what was incorporated. So like Rhino said, I feel like it could have been a great opportunity to extend that concept to other things. So I'm hoping, assuming it comes back and I have the opportunity to do a version of it. But it makes me sad. Like, I drove by it yesterday and thought, okay, well, and especially as a big Disney fan, it's rare to like, oh, I just missed out on that. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe eventually. It's like, well, nope, it's gone. So
It's just the ghost of Yoda.
Force ghost. Sad.
Well, incomplete for you since you didn't do it. Sorry.
Fair. It's all right. Still sad.
Yeah. That makes it better. Or does it? Anywho, moving on, we're going to get to the portion where this is going to start rolling along a lot more quickly here. But remember that time there was a bear in Magic Kingdom? How did Disney respond to that? I'd say...
Was this during Gay Days?
Yeah.
I
believe that's Tom Bell.
Not the Country Bears.
Tom Bell escaped in there. Now it's yeah. I feel like it took them way too long to get the park reopened after capturing a bear. So I'm gonna give them they got a pass for getting the bear out, but a fail for taking so long.
Well, for letting a bear in.
Yeah, right.
Well, how do you keep a bear out?
I don't know, but it feels like it's one of those things we should be prepared for. The bears.
Do you just leave honey circulating the property?
I don't know. That's like fairly common in Florida, though. So I don't know what the protocol like normally is, or just people are a deterrent. But I know people that were here on vacation and like their day was messed up, and it was like, their one Magic Kingdom day, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't really get to do most of the park. So I don't really understand that either. I would like to give them bonus points though for the fact that they like followed the bear's journey. Like, there was like a sweet like post about like, oh, it's okay, the bear's fine, like don't worry, he's not, he can cross over the Rainbow Bridge or whatever.
Yet.
So yeah.
I would have had
person
that.
Set the phone down, and then the rifle came up in the other hand.
Jason's asking. I would have had that bear out immediately. It was not that big of a bear. I would have just get it in a headlock and you just pull it out.
Lassoed it. Yeah.
It's like if I ever see an alligator get near one of my dogs, I'm just grabbing it by the tail and I'm gonna swirl it. Who was the tall tail that took the
Pecos Bill?
No, I think Pecos Bill rode the tornado. I'm talking about the one that like swung the hammer. Maybe that was Paul Bunyan. It's okay. We should
Paul
watch
Bunyan.
Disney's Tall Tales. That was the ox, but I think I'm thinking of doesn't matter. It's not important. But I'll take care of the bears in my own way. Elaine, pass fail.
Me too.
I don't have I don't have any I don't know.
That's
I don't
okay.
have any. We're gonna say fail. We're gonna say fail because it got in. Here's the thing. How I know that bears are very common. Lots of people have them in their neighborhoods and they see them all the time. I understand that. But you're talking about how many levels
Bears will be
of
bears.
security and like walls and doors and fences and all of that does the bear have to go through to be inside Magic Kingdom?
He earned it.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking. He should have gotten some
seriously, where is the security video showing how he did that? That's what
I don't think they wanted to show people how he got in to be like, you guys try.
And last time I checked, bears don't typically carry metal on them, so they would have been able to walk right through that screening point with no issues at all.
So I don't know why I thought they had adamantium claws and they'll just go off like on.
No, those are wolverines that have adamantium. Yeah, so understandable mistake. But okay, so the bear, we'll call the bear incomplete. We can't get an actual.
I will say this about the bear. It just makes me think of that line in Jurassic Park where he says, yeah, John, but if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists. And all I can think about is, yeah, but if Country Bear Jamboree breaks down, the bear will eat the tourists.
Very good.
It could easily happen. So now our last ones, it's all fresh. It's stuff that we've talked about a lot. So we don't have to really dwell on these too long, but Disney Jollywood Nights. I don't know what to grade this thing right now because our first experience was a solid F, and then my next experience was like a B, so I'm going somewhere at like a C, I think, just to be fair. I have one more night left in me, and I think now that I've learned everything that I've done, I can make it another A night. I can make it an A+ night potentially. So, C. That definitely lackluster for the first year of an event, but yeah. Rhina?
Well, based on my one experience, an F, but I am going back on Monday with our friends, and so I'm hoping that experience I'll have a much better experience this time. Yeah. We'll see. And I don't know, like, do I watch your video before, or do I just go in and know to just like steer clear of Brown Derby or whatever? But I just, F.
So don't go to Brown Derby. Just don't go to Brown Derby. I did see that they added, or they just have a backup piano player because there was a female playing piano in there. So maybe they listened and said, okay, we'll swap out people. I'm not sure yet. That's something you have to look at. But in terms of everything else, it's just, I feel like they got crowd management down better. The shows, they figured out how to load them a lot better. The food lines decreased dramatically, added characters. So just don't try to think too much. Just feel.
Ooh.
Feel.
Okay, don't tell me how to feel.
Hannah, did you get to go?
I did not because it was too expensive.
Okay.
I just think it's just very expensive. Maybe
there
one day.
you go. And I know you didn't go, Elaine. You haven't been here since it started.
I didn't go. But I will tell you, when they announced this thing and they started talking about it, I'm like, okay, I need to plan a trip, like specifically to go to this, because it just looked like, I'm like, this is my event. It was like kind of an adult event, and all of the theming and the food and the things that they were announcing. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then everybody had all of the problems on the first night. F. But then it sounds like even by the second night, Disney actually listened and they started making changes. So I think it has potential, if they can fix the problems, that it really could be an amazing event. So
yeah, I hope it gets there by the end of it. I'm hoping they do like a Grinch style thing where it starts out low and then begins to grow by the end. It's just a great,
but if you were that first party versus the last party, I would be kind of ticked about that. I'd be like, well, we paid the same price and you had a much better experience. So
And I understand that. I totally understand that, and I agree. And that's why I complained on one of these shows that there's no excuse that Disney, for all the money that they have and, put out there into a party like this and how many guests plan vacations around it, there's no reason why they could not have done a test party with cast members only. And let them have that night, let them bring their friends or whatever to fill up the park, do a true test of the event, and then make changes before guests who paid to be there start experiencing it. Again, Halloween Horror Nights does it with their team members every single year. There's no reason why Disney can't do this for events to give them a test run to get into it. So we probably would have went to a different park on that first night, had a different party on that first night had they actually done the preparations and really did a good test run to see what the feedback was and got honest feedback from ops and from the cast members who attended. Just my opinion there. And
do we think it'll be bad?
Well, whoa. I'm sorry. I'll give you one more. We'll take that back.
Do we think it will come back next year?
Yes.
Think so?
I think so. I think if there's money on the table to be had, I think they will find a way to bring it back. And I feel like they're going to look more at the guest feedback from like after that second or third party on through the end of it rather than the feedback for the first night. If it was from the first night only, it'd be done already. But I think it'll be back. Just a little bit different, perhaps. Okay. I'm not going to play the air horn again. It's one and done. But so, and then Hatbox Ghost finally made it. I'm going to give this one a C because Hatbox Ghost cool. F for how long it took to put Hatbox Ghost in there. Split the difference. We got a C. Rhino.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Elaine.
See, I don't care.
Hannah.
I'm going to cheat off your test because I don't care.
Okay. I'm going to give it an A. I'm just happy to see him there. Like just some love for the Haunted Mansion. I'll give it an A. Ooh.
Okay, and then finally rounding us out here, even though it's the last thing and we've already talked about it ad nauseum, but we'll say EPCOT's completion, almost near completion, between Luminous, World Celebration Gardens, and Walt the Dreamer. All of those together. I know they took a long time. I'm going to give it a B right now, and it's all over the place for it. World Celebration Gardens might be like a C for me. Walt the Dreamer is maybe like a I don't know, maybe like a C plus, and then Luminous, Luminous is like a B plus for me. So I'm going to say it's right in there. This entire edition is like a solid B for me. But Hannah, what about you?
I'm gonna give it a solid B as well because I think it's definitely infinitely better to me than what was there before. So I'm just, glad that it's there. I'm thinking as time evolves, it will too, and I'm hoping it gets better. So I'll give it a solid B.
Elaine, incomplete.
I'm going to go with B minus because I'm giving it the minus because when we got the original plans for EPCOT, so much of it is now cut. You know what I mean? We were promised all of this stuff that's now cut. And so I'm sad, I guess. Like, I really wanted the Mary Poppins thing. And,
I will never forgive them for letting that go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to learn to forgive.
No, I won't forgive and I won't forget.
You don't tell me how to feel. Neither does EPCOT. So, I mean.
Yeah. No one puts Elaine in the corner.
You could still go on. They were clapping for you, Elaine. Unless you're just I threw you off.
I thought that was like the end of the thing. I was like, okay.
They were playing you off.
Get the credits. Yep.
C.
Wow, I didn't think the laughter was going to bring this to such a halt, but I guess it did. It did. There we go. Fantastic. Cool.
C.
I see what you said
That's
there.
it.
I see what you said there.
I don't think anything that opened really changed the problems the park had to begin with. So
Yeah. You're not wrong.
But it looks nice.
You're not wrong.
it
But
does look better. I will give it that. That's why it's not an F.
Anything
Okay.
is better than the
Very
walls.
good.
there you go. There you go. So now we've got to move on to our honorable mentions that we're not grading.
The longest
for-
episode we've ever done.
It could be. It could be. We still have an episode next week. Listen, if I would have known this portion was going to take that long, we would have just made this a whole episode and said, you know what? No one needs to know about Luminous. It'll be around for a while. Make your own opinions. So obviously Cake Bake Shop and Summer House on the Lake didn't make it in 2023. So we're sorry you couldn't be part of this. You both get fails in this sense. But you know what? There's still a couple weeks left. They could easily make it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Summer
And
House
then
might.
it might. So
Summer
we'll
House
see.
more like Winter House.
Boom. And then I will bite my words on it if that happens. And then I feel bad. I left Rosa Mexicano off this, but I still haven't been. I plan on going one day.
I did.
But okay, what would you grade it?
I just sat at the bar though. I didn't like eat. I had like one appetizer and a margarita, and I'm not gonna lie.
I don't even know. Is
Too
this a
expensive.
Swan and Dolphin restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went, and I feel like I always mispronounce it. Is it Berea? Berea tacos?
Birria.
I don't know.
Birria.
Birria. Okay, see, there you go. Birria tacos. Well, I may not be able to pronounce it, but I'm a connoisseur of them. And they were disappointing and very overpriced. So, yeah.
I have my favorite birria tacos. They're at Agave Azul. I feel like they're solid. Come with a nice side of rice and beans. So those are my vote always. But
That's pretty good time.
yeah. So those are on all the honorables. But Rhino, you didn't give it a grade though. Neither did you, Hannah. Just grade it real quick.
Well, I only had the margarita and the chips, so
Great.
it was like fondue or something. C minus, baby.
Wow.
I'm giving it a D.
Whoa.
Okay, so you know how I know it was bad? My waiter was like, hey, do you like these tacos? Then you should go to a food truck in Kissimmee because they're way better. And I thought, gee, thanks. I just paid $20 for these tacos.
Yeah.
So that was my sign. So D, sorry. That waiter was nice.
No. I only give it C minus because at least the margarita had alcohol in it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Well, wow. What a mega episode for us here today. So I feel like we were very fair on Walt Disney World's report card. Hopefully, everyone's favorite Zaddy, Josh DeMauro, and Bob Iger will hear all about this and look at the grades and say, you know what, we approve. We approve of what 4 random lunatics on the internet gave us, and we will quickly dismiss everything they said too. They're never going to hear it. But that's what they got. And we hope that you enjoyed hearing us just ramble on about this. So Rhino, Hannah, Elaine, thank you for having fun talking about this today. I mean, maybe you had fun. I know I did.
I think we had fun.
I had fun. It was a good show. I had fun.
Good.
Incomplete.
And now it's time for the
A+,
chat
A+.
to rate. It's time for the
rate
chat
this
and the
show.
viewers
I'd
to
rather-
rate this show.
No, I
Yeah.
don't have the self-esteem for that today, so let's not.
Just this one. They're going to ignore everything else we've ever done and only rate this one. That's what we hope for.
I'm
But
new, so this is not going to bode well.
it usually doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Hey.
But thank you to the 3 of you so much for having this fun conversation with me. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. We truly hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you want to support us more, book a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Get a free, no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave comments, questions, video suggestions in the comment section. And if you listen to this, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us fun ratings and reviews when possible. But that's it for this week's episode of the Diz Unlimited podcast. Again, we really hope you enjoyed it. I know we did, and we will see you again real soon next time we get together to chat about Disney. But for now, that's the end, or should I say the beginning of your future. Goodbye.